Hello everyone and welcome to another history video. So today we're taking a look at Simic Ritual deck in History format. So I believe this is the first time actually taking a look at Simic Ritual in Historic. I have actually taken a look at the Simic Ritual maybe like 2 or 3 times in Timeless. It was just not going to work in Historic because we didn't have access to something like Harbinger of the Seas. But now we actually do have a Harbinger of the Seas unbanned in Historic, but we also got Force of Negation unbanned, which is actually pretty huge because without the Force of Negation, this deck actually doesn't have any interaction, even if we did have Harbinger. So even if a Harbinger did come down or Abhorrent Oculus did come down through Birthing Ritual, it could just die immediately, but now we have a Force of Negation, which is actually pretty relevant. And not to mention, we also got Ponder as well recently, so looking for that Birthing Ritual or Neoform. By the way, we're actually playing 4 copies of Birthing Ritual and 1 copy of Neoform. The 1 copy of Neoform is just to add in that extra consistency in looking for the Harbinger or the Oculus. So yeah, I think this deck looks pretty sweet. So having said that, I'm gonna be hopping over to some History BO3 to show you guys what the deck does. So let's hop on over. Alright, let's take a look at this deck today. We have a Birthing Ritual. Lovely. We are playing against Giganta though, so I don't think Harbinger is gonna be that great in this matchup. Probably. Yeah, alright. Thoughtseize goes out. I might just go Birthing Ritual immediately. Yeah, we'll go Birthing Ritual just to kind of get it down on the battlefield as soon as possible. Alright, this is Jund. Let's see if we can hit something like a Force of Negation. It doesn't. We also didn't hit anything here. Oh, there we go. Force of Negation. Probably have to block the Baragloif. Ooh, Dismember. That's actually really good. That's actually really, really good. Probably just get rid of this now. Alright, we got the Harbinger down. And we'll probably bounce the Tarmogoyf here. Okay, so they also got the Lansdowne and Ignoble Hierarch. We need an Oculus really fast. Alright, no Oculus there. We're gonna decline. And there we go. All 3 of the Oculus showed up there, by the way. Kinda crazy. So we have a clock with the Abhorrent Oculus, hopefully. And then we have a Force of Negation to stop opponent from a Fatal Push on that, sure. I guess the Thunder Trap is better? Nice, we got another sync to bounce their creature. We're just looking for a lot more Oculus. There we go. Nice. First win. Alright, so we're gonna want another copy of a Dismember. I'm not sure about the Kite Sail Larcenist. The problem with this card is it gives opponent a treasure, which means that it's going to allow the Revolt trigger on the Fatal Push. Also, Harbinger was okay, but it's like not that great against opponent, right? We'll do something like this. I think the spell Snare might be bad. Although they do play a Tarmogoyf actually. Hmm. What should I cut for the last card? I'll cut a copy of Force of Negation. Okay, we got a Gemstone Cavern for a quick birthing ritual. I'm kind of thinking about doing so. Ignoble Hierarch. Let's put a birthing ritual down. Barrow-goyf. Barrow-goyf. See if I can ponder for a land. Nice. Oh, but I'm gonna mill. It's awkward. I can actually hardcast this, which could be relevant. Hieroglyph as well. It's looking a little bit difficult right now. Yeah, looks like this might be over. Barrogoyf comes down. I can't really stop it, so we're dead. The Pyrogoyf's gonna trigger the Barrogoyf Death Touch damage, so... Yeah, first really hard match against... Oh, I forgot to take out the Gemstone Caverns, no! That might actually get me. Yeah, that might actually get me. I hope opponent plays Thoughtseize again. Rumble. Here's the thing. I mean, I could just go Harbinger. That's totally a thing. But like, if I go Harbinger, like, it's not gonna win me the game though. Like, it's just a 3/3 on the battlefield. And opponent's deck has a lot of whatever. I'll try it. Like, I don't think it's a good idea, but yeah, there you go. Like, they already have a mountain, so they have a Giganta. Like, I should have just gone Oculus. What am I doing? Such a bad idea. I should have just gone Oculus, man. What an idiot. Although, we are... Maybe it's good enough. I don't know. I guess it's good enough. Thank you, Harbinger. Neoform. A steam vent. Think we keep all those. Lorwyn revealed. Into a water grave. And a psychic frog. Let's go with the Thunder Trap Trainer, since I can get like a Force of Negation or Spell Pierce, which are the cards that we actually kind of need at the moment. Another Watery Grave into Shock, so this is probably a counter spell. Alright, I'll Neoform first. Because I think I rather prefer the Birthing Ritual. That was a Drowned Luck. I guess I should have actually pondered first. I actually meant to top the Philology Archaeologist first, but messed up. This seems like a very tough game, isn't it? A very tough game. Okay, Spell Snare is really good. We have a setup for the following turn with the Birthing Ritual and whatnot. Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully speaking. You're gonna make it fly, really. Okay. So let us try to kill the Psychic Frog if we can. Ripple Shanty. Let's see what happens. They'd have to discard their entire hand. Okay. Sure. Harbinger. Could be like a Drown in the Lock or Counter Spell, I guess. Fatal Push. An Oculus. So I could get an Oculus, sure, but I have my opponent shut down right now with the Harbinger, so I don't know. They can't play their Loris, things like that, you know. That sucks. I didn't know they would be playing a Snapcaster Mage. Alright, we lost. Well, now I know. Now I know opponent's playing Snapcaster Mage. So I guess I'm not gonna attack with the Harbinger now. Good to know. So, Harbinger seems really good, by the way. Yeah, Harbinger seems really good. Birthing Ritual. Pretty good. Let's try to resolve the Birthing Ritual. And it did. Okay. See if I can resolve the Philology Archaeologist. They were playing the... Ooh, a Spell Pierce is really good here, actually. What a great find. So if we get to our 3-drop here, this is insane. So they went with the... So they have another Rebel Shanty, I guess? Should I still go for it, or they could be bluffing as well? It could totally be a bluff, but it could not be, so I'll go with the Fibblethip here. Draw 2 cards. So would they have another Ripple Shanty? I just don't think that they would. Yeah, I just don't think that they would. So I'll go with the Harbinger here. Now we need a bounce spell for opponent here. Or just have a lot more Oculus, things like that. They're going full aggro now. Offsprings 4. Yeah, we need to find an Oculus right now. Nice, we found the Sink to Stupor. And we found an Oculus. Very nice. Do we care about Stern Scolding, by the way? I feel like we don't. It's too many lands, right? Maybe I'll do that. Opponent plays Undercity Sewer. Wow, a lot of tap lands. I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised, actually.
No! I'm late for class!
Let's bluff that we have a 2-mana card. Okay, well, hordes of Harbinger of Seas just coming out. Short. Opponent actually messed up. They were actually supposed to tap these two and then leave up a red.
I will protect this library with my life. Respect the library.
Okay, well, let's keep playing Harbingers. I didn't like this because they could have a Snapcaster Mage. So opponent taps out.
Use your words.
I might actually just sing the Stupor, the Tameo. Just because I need to put cards in the graveyard. So they have oh, I thought they would have that one other card. Oh no, I should have played it. No. I should have just played it.
I must investigate this scroll further.
Right, counter spell. Bit awkward because we drew like this. Like we have a we can't play our Oculus, you know? It would be nice if I can find things like Philology Archaeologist and things like that. Yeah, we kind of drew bad. Like, look at this. So many Oculus, things like that. So they don't have another Snapcaster Mage in hand. That's all I needed to know. Because if they had a Snapcaster Mage in hand, they would have actually played it last turn. Okay, final turn. Harbinger of the Seas. 5 land hand, but with a Ponder. Could be definitely fixable, but I think I'm just gonna mulligan this one. This is a lot better. We're gonna Ponder for a land. Mono green. Blue. Could be Eldrazi. could be Eldrazi, actually. Kiora.
I defy gods, defying
So I can go Harbinger immediately. But I feel like that's not gonna stop what my opponent's doing right now. Like, it stops stomping ground, but that's about it. I need to find an Oculus fast, and we did. Into another Oculus. That's a lot of mana.
the ocean surges, life.
So yeah, it wouldn't have actually done anything. Yeah, it wouldn't have actually done anything. What I needed was Force of Negation. What I needed was a Force of Negation. Darn.
Tides always rise again.
I might actually want to go Harbinger now. But I feel like that also doesn't do anything. Nah, I think I'm just going to let it go. Man, we didn't get any Dismembers or Force of Negation this game. No, they have Nykthos. Maybe I should have. Maybe I should have. Darn. They had another Kiora anyways.
Drywalk is something truly spectacular.
Where was my Force of Negation? So they were actually, so they're playing a 3-color deck. We actually might be able to get them with the Harbinger. So yeah, Spell Snare was just not it there. We needed more Dismembers. Maybe a Larcenist, I don't know. Try that. Okay. I think that deck only plays like 2 forests, by the way. So for that deck to actually have forest start twice in a row, that's kind of absurd. Wow, that's an unbelievable hit. Unbelievable.
Not to brag, but my friend's kind of a nature flows with
I think we already lost, honestly. Opponent's deck is just too fast. I don't know. Like, what's an Harbinger gonna do, you know? Not much. If it was any other forest, and then we play Harbinger, the enchantment would have actually fallen off. But, unlucky. One lander. Into another one lander, but we do have a ponder here. Land. That's what I like to see. Island into a ponder. We have actually a pretty good set of cards. We land this birthing ritual, and then we have a spell snare into another creature here. So we're in a pretty good spot. We're gonna shock. We could just play Harbinger out first. You know, I think this is actually pretty safe, probably. Seems like they're playing a 3-color deck, you know? A 5-color deck, never mind. Never mind. Of course, forest. A little bit of a tilter. For sure. You know, casual Yorion deck having forest basic start. Love to see it. Force of negation. To a Philology Archaeologist. Grab a ponder. We just want to get to our Oculus as fast as possible. Okay, how is my opponent doing that? Does anybody know? How did my opponent just go like Island, Forest, Plain? 80 card deck, by the way. Unless their deck plays like 10 basics, then I'll allow.
Is there a deeper meaning to this passage?
Yeah, if that's the case, then I'll allow, but
To share.
anything else? Nuh-uh.
I am not defenseless. That tome is one of a kind.
Anything else? Nuh-uh. Okay, we have a clock.
Violence is not the answer.
We have a lot of counter spells, so I feel pretty safe. This is their third Null Drifter. How did a Yorion deck stack their decks like that? Alright, I think I'm just going to balance this, the Tameo and just attack opponent for a lot of damage. It just dies though. I don't know. I didn't really want to play the Sink to Stupor, but looks like I kind of have to. I could just play Pelagia Archaeologist. And just pass. Nice. So, it's a 5 colors blink deck. Yeah, it's a 5 colors blink deck that miraculously had plains, forest, and an island start. Oh, come on, like come on. How is that possible? So we gotta cut 2 cards. Spell Snare seems actually pretty decent. Or should I have a Mystical Dispute? I could see myself just not having a Spell Pierce, by the way. Yeah, I can see myself not having a Spell Pierce in this matchup. The Spell Snare can get opponent's Felia. And they probably play counter spells as well. Probably. I guess maybe a Consign, actually, instead of a Spell Snare. Not sure, actually. Yeah, we got a Harbinger hand. I think I'm gonna keep this, despite having 4 lands. Force of Negation and Pelagia Archaeologist. A Breeding Pool. Into Tameo. And pass. Let's go with the Pelagia Archaeologist, since we can get Birthing Ritual potentially, and we did. I might just go Harbinger immediately, by the way. It does kind of depend on like how my opponent plays. Like if they tap out, I'll play Birthing Ritual, but if they don't, I'll what to do? You know what? Sure. It does stick. Maybe it's like Ophelia. Yeah, it could be Ophelia. Clue token crack. So we have a Harbinger and a Force Negation next turn. Or we can go Philology plus Thunder Trap into Force Negation. What's better? Because if I go Harbinger, I can't proc the Birthing Ritual here. Questions. An oust. Okay. Does this matter? I'm actually not sure. Because I get the Birthing... No, I guess that wouldn't work. I mean, I can just hardcast it. Okay, Binding. I will Force Negation this, and I'll probably Harbinger next turn then. Since opponent tapped out. I think I love Vibblethep too much. I think I'm just going to get rid of a Philology Archaeologist here. I'll play the Harbinger. Draw. And draw again.
I'd love to hear stories from your home. Think before you act.
I'm glad we ran into a 5-color deck today. Because I haven't been able to get my opponent with Harbinger, like the moon effects recently.
You're so disruptive.
Nice.
Respect the library.
So it does seem like, right, opponent doesn't have like 10 basics, and they just got lucky last game with the basics. Oh, wow. That's a card. That is indeed a card. But it's a ground creature. Do we care about a ground creature? I feel like we don't.
My research is ruined.
Force of Negation. And Dismember. We get another Harbinger. Nice! Alright, so Simic Ritual. Actually better than expected. I kind of had my doubts because in historic format, although we have the Force of Negation, we don't have access to a Flare of Denial, which is a pretty integral part of what made the timeless Simic Ritual deck playable, which is this card, Flare of Denial. And I say playable, but it was like a tier 3 at best, right? But it could still get some people because you had things like Chrome Moxes and stuff like that. So the Flare of Denial was actually pretty important in that deck because you also played things like the Turtle, this one, Phantasmal Shield Bag. So I was kind of doubtful whether this is going to work, but it did. With 4 copies of Force of Negation, being able to protect the Harbinger of the Seas, Abhorrent Oculus, things like that, it's still pretty good enough to just kind of win the game if you do assemble these cards. And not to mention, compared to the last time I played the Simic Ritual, we even got access to like things like Dismember. So like even against like a Psychic Frog, things like that, we still have a Dismember to get rid of Psychic Frog. And if all goes wrong, you still have things like Sing the Stupor, things like that, to bounce the big threats. So the deck actually worked better than I expected. Oh yeah, let's not forget the fact that we have access to Ponder now, which makes getting to our Birthing Ritual or Neoform a lot more consistent. And by the way, the only reason I'm playing the Neoform is because I want additional consistency in being able to get either of these down in time. But the Neoform might be unnecessary. So if you don't want to play the Neoform, what can you play? I guess you can play like another copy of a Dismember or potentially like another copy of a Spell Pierce. And compared to last time, I also went up on a copy of a Fibblethip. I think the Fibblethip is actually pretty insane because it can get you 2 cards, which is kind of cool. And like as for the mana base, like one thing to note, if the Harbinger of the Seas was cast before the Birthing Ritual or the Neoform comes down, you won't be able to cast your Birthing Ritual or Neoform. So that's something that you have to worry about. Most of the times, if the Harbinger does come down, it will win the game because when you want to cast your Harbinger, that's when you want to lock your opponent down. And you also have 4 copies of Prismatic Vista to always get the Forest at the start. So that's going to be your number 1 priority with the Prismatic Vista. So yeah, very simple deck. Very simple deck. Get your Oculus, Harbinger, and win the game. As for the sideboard, pretty simple. Consign versus Eldrazi. Stern Scolding versus creature decks, Surgical versus Graveyard, Brazen Borrower. This is like an emergency card if something sticks on the battlefield that you can't really get rid of with things like Dismember. You have a backup plan with the Brazen Bee, but the problem is that this card doesn't have an ETB, so it's only really good if you cast it from your hand, but it's still a 3-1 flyer beater, right? That's why we play 2 copies of a Kysel Larcenist. Again, same concept. If you can't answer with a Dismember, you have a Kysel Larcenist. Has a little bit of a non-bill, giving opponent a treasure token, which might lead to Harbinger dying, so just be wary of that. And then we have 2 copies of a Mystical Dispute against blue decks if they play too many counter spells, right? And we have a 4th copy of a Dismember against Magus of the Moon. And let's say if you're playing second, you can put the Gemstone Caverns in place of a Botanical Sanctum and a copy of a Verge. I think that'll work. So yeah, that is going to be it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye-bye.